examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Malangoni, on your direct examination, you said that there was a discussion you had with Mr. Jackson sometime in June where he threatened you relative to the issue of the refinancing of the house?
Yes.
Okay. Was this the same day? You heard Mr. Jackson testify as to the phone call that he made that you two had when he overheard you berating Sylvia. Do you remember that testimony?
I heard him, yes.
Okay. Is this a different phone call than that time?
Yes, because I never had that phone call with him that he was suggesting.
You didn't speak to him on the phone that day? You just emailed him?
What date?
Well, we have the May emails, and we're talking about before the incident happened. Mr. Jackson testified.
The only time I spoke to him on the phone was about refinancing the house.
That's it.
That is it.
You never got on the phone with him when he called. He called you on the day he overheard you screaming in the background at Sylvia.
No, I did not.
You're saying that never happened.
No, it did not.
You said the one time that you put your hands on her was when you pushed her out of your bedroom. That one time.
Correct.
And your testimony is within 1 foot away, nose to nose, she was staring over you sleeping?
Yes, I woke up, opened my eyes, and she was hovered over me.
You have locks on your bedroom, don't you?
That was after.
That was after that. Do you remember what month and what year that incident took place where she was just standing over you?
That was the Sunday, the 2 days before Mr. Jackson attacked me.
Okay, so you didn't have any locks on your door up to 2 days before?
No, I did not. After that is when I put the locks on that night.
What kind of locks were those?
It was a chain lock.
Okay. You said locks.
Bolt lock.
You have an interior bolt lock, and then also the chain lock like they have in the old hotels where you slide the chain on.
It was a chain lock on the door. On the inside, I installed it myself.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to understand. Maybe I'm confused. Are the chain lock and the bolt lock one lock, or they're two separate locks?
It's the same thing.
Okay. Mr. Malangoni, in the days leading up to that physical incident, did you and Sylvia ever have arguments?
Sure, we would argue here and there. Most of the time I tried to keep my space away from her to avoid any confrontation whatsoever.
Mr. Malangoni, do you ever remember testifying differently in this case?
Can you refresh that when?
Sure. Do you recall giving your deposition, your attorney present, and me being there at Mr. Wilson's office back on September 24th of 2013?
Yes.
And at that deposition you participated in, you were sworn in under oath, correct?
Correct.
You recall me asking you this question and you giving me this answer. During that period of what I'll call when you were broken up, just prior to the incident with Mr. Jackson, did you and Sylvia ever engage in any kind of arguments? Answer, no. Prior to that, this is another question. Prior to that, at any time before July 20th, 2010, had any argument that you ever had with Sylvia become physical in any way? Answer, I just said we never engaged in any arguments. Do you remember me asking those questions and me giving those responses?
I might have had the time
So it's time. So when you say we never engage in any arguments, it's a question of when?
Well, we had a relationship for a year. I'm sure we had disagreements, but never an argument as to where it escalated to yelling or fighting, more or less. Is that what you're asking?
You're not giving those answers to my questions in your deposition.
And the answer would be no.
Mr. Malangoni, you also, in a separate legal proceeding involving Mr. Jackson and Ms. Smith, in separate legal proceedings, you had the occasion to give some testimony under oath concerning these events. Is that true?
Yes.
Do you recall testifying, and I'll just give the short cause number, it was the protective order here, PO 165. Thank you. It was a hearing that was conducted on May 29, 2012. Where the subjects of this hearing were you and Sylvia Smith. Do you remember going in front of a judge on May 29, 2012 to discuss that order of protection?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You remember, I'm sorry, 20 into 21. So I'm in my 20s. Mr. Malangoni, is it true that you told that court, that judge under oath at that time, when the question was asked, had that ever become physical between the two of you, you responded, no. Like I said, except for when I'm standing in front of it talking about the air conditioner. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what are you asking?
I'm asking if you told that judge at a different hearing 2 years ago, when asked if it had ever become physical between you and Sylvia Smith, you told that judge, no.
I told the only time was the time that I wanted the restraining order was when she was over me and I had to push her on her look.
That's not what this says, Mr. Malangoni. This says...
Judge, I'm going to object. It's out of context. And if you need to take a break, that had to do only with an incident involving a thermostat and whether she was standing in front of it. That's deliberately out of context. And whether that had ever become physical.
Well, Judge, that's not what was done. This was done 2 years after the date of this alleged incident. There was a hearing on an order of protection that he had filed. And the judge's question was, had it ever become physical between them? And his answer was, no, they haven't. This is what I'm crossing.
All right, overruled.
So you told that judge, no.
I've never physically harmed her in any way.
I didn't ask if you physically harmed her. I asked if it became physical. You told that judge no, and you did tell us that at least one time you did push her out of your room, correct?
Yes.
Okay. During the altercation between Mr. Jackson and yourself on the 20th, where was Sylvia?
She was in the house.
Okay. From the moment your door opened, when is the first time you saw Sylvia? The door, when the altercation happened. When's the first time you saw Sylvia?
She was standing behind Craig when Craig was attacking me.
Okay. So she was there in the hallway.
She was outside the door, and then she was inside the bedroom.
Okay, so then she came in. Did you have occasion to see or hear what Sylvia said or did while you're fighting with Mr. Jackson?
No.
No, she didn't say anything?
No, I didn't have a chance. I was struggling to breathe.
Well, okay. You weren't immediately choked, right? That came as the fight progressed, correct?
No, I was immediately pushed and choked.
Okay.
It was pretty immediate.
Mr. Miller, let me ask you this then. My question is, whether you were being choked or not at whatever time, do you recall hearing Sylvia say anything during the fight here?
She said, no, I don't.
Did you tell Officer Buck, when he questioned you about what happened, what Sylvia's role or her participation was in this?
What her role was?
Yeah, that she was there.
Yes, she was there.
Did you tell Officer Buck this?
That she was there?
Yes.
I believe so. If I was asked, I don't recall.
Okay. Well, you don't know if you told Officer Buck whether or not she was there?
Yes, I don't know. I might have.
She was there, though.
Yes, she was.
And you were not at the house when Officer Buck actually came back and talked to Craig.
I was at the police station.
Right. You said when this attack happened, where were you earlier that day?
Earlier that day,
Yeah.
I came home from work.
Okay. When you got home, do you remember about what time you got home?
4:30, maybe around. I don't remember exactly.
Do you remember how long you were home before the knocks came at your bedroom door?
Maybe a half an hour. I was in the shower.
You remember telling me previously in your deposition that you were home for an hour to an hour and a half before that happened?
Oh, and if that's what I said, then
When you got home from work, did you go straight into the shower?
I let the dogs out, fed them, and yes, I went to take a shower.
Okay. You take long showers? Well, let me ask you this.
I really was considered one shower, sir.
How long did you stay in the shower that day, if you know?
I do not remember.
Now, when the actual confrontation began, we'll call that with the first knocking on your bedroom door, okay? Just so we're clear. You heard, the first thing you heard was knocking? Or
I heard pounding.
Okay, pounding. And was there anything accompanied with the pounding? Voices, statements,
Yelling.
yelling? What was being yelled and by whom?
Craig Jackson yelling obscenities to attack me. I don't recall exactly what he was saying.
Yelling obscenities to attack you verbal attack?
Physically.
Okay. He's yelling obscenities to physically attack you. What do you mean by that?
Open the door, I'm going to kick your ass type of obscenities.
So it's a threat.
Mostly, yes.
So you had heard, but you recognize the voice to be Craig Jackson say, open the door, I'm going to kick your ass. Something to that effect, right? What did you have a response, a verbal response?
Yes, I said I am not going to fight. I did nothing to your daughter, and whatever she is telling you is not true. What is causing you to act this way is not true. I have no interest in fighting you whatsoever. We could talk about this.
You talk about making a statement that you could talk about this. When Mr. Wilson was asked you some questions, did Mr. Jackson call you in the day or two before he came out there, and you said no, right?
No, we didn't.
You didn't. In fact, Mr. Jackson, prior to that time period, had tried to call you more than once, and you refused to pick up the phone when you saw on the caller ID who it was, correct?
That is not true.
That's not true. David P.O. 164, page 15. In that same motor protection hearing that we had referenced earlier, Mr. Malangoni, is it true? What page did you say? Page 15. When Mr. Jackson actually asked you some questions and you were under oath, Did I ever win? You're saying I did phone you on more than one occasion. Answer. 2 times you called me, yes. Question, I phoned you. It's called off. Answer. You phoned me more than once, but I never picked up the phone. I didn't want to answer it. That's what you told, that's what you testified to under oath at that protective order, correct?
Okay, then I guess I just didn't recall that he was calling me at the time. I don't know his number offhand.
Okay. Well, you just said he called me, I didn't want to pick up. So you had to know it was Mr. Jackson calling you at those times, yes?
Or was the number that I didn't know, he just didn't want to answer the phone.
Well, why didn't you say that when you had your opportunity in front of the judge, when you weren't asking for money?
I'm going to object. That's argumentative, and I'm going to object on relevance grounds to the issues in this court, which is the alleged assault on July 20th.
Judge, as for relevance, it goes...
It's relevant.
Thank you.
The other one's sustained.
Understood. I apologize. Mr. Malangoni, you said you dispute what the transcript reads for your testimony.
No, I'm not disputing.
Okay. So it's your statement or your story that you were getting out of the shower, you heard Mr. Jackson banging on your bedroom door, trying to break it down.
Correct.
Was he successful in breaking it down?
No, it was not.
Did he almost break it down?
The door jamb was weakening.
How much did it cost to fix the door jamb, the lock?
I do not recall.
Okay. Did you repair it?
I left the house shortly after that.
You left the house, right? Okay. And you said to him, you don't know why he was there. You didn't want to fight him. I didn't do anything to your daughter, and whatever she told you isn't true.
Correct.
Just volunteered that information when Craig was pounding on the other side of the door.
Yes.
Okay. Said once the I'm sorry, I was looking up. Did Mr. Jackson ever threaten to kill you?
Yes, when he was choking me, he said, when I said I couldn't breathe, he said, I don't care.
Did you tell the, it's a pretty severe thing, did you tell the officer Buck that Mr. Jackson said or did that?
Yes.
If that wasn't in his narrative summary, could that be because you didn't tell him, or could it be
I believe it wasn't a statement.
that he was going to kill you?
That he said that he didn't care.
Right. I'm just asking about a specific threat to kill you. Did he ever make a threat to kill you?
Did he make a threat to kill me? Yes, he did.
Okay. Did you tell Detective Buck about that also?
I do believe I might have. There was a lot of adrenaline and confusion at the time, but I remember saying that in the deposition, yes.
Sure. You saw Detective Buck up on the video earlier.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you know what you told him about these events, and what you heard what he said Mr. Jackson said about these events, right?
Correct.
You told him more than those 4 sentences, didn't you, when you had talked to Detective?
Very little more.
Okay, but you did say that.
Not really much more.
Well, is it yes, very little more, or not? But it is more than what is just in that report, yes? Or no?
No, yes.
Okay, thank you. You ever tell Mr. Jackson that you wanted to get out of your room and to let you get out of your room?
I don't recall, no.
Okay, after the pounding is done, these explicatives and these threats are being made, you guys are having your back and forth through the door. You know that the door wasn't busted down, you said that yourself. At some point you opened the door.
Yes.
How long after the banging and the yelling stopped did you open your door?
Roughly a few minutes.
Okay. Where were you going?
I was going to exit the house.
Okay. To go where?
Somewhere else.
Just to get out of there.
Yes.
Did you know that Mr. Jackson was still in the house?
I had no idea.
You just wanted to be away from there, correct?
Correct.
No particular place to be. And you said, back to this altercation, you said Mr. Jackson actually pushed you into your room when the door opened, correct?
I opened the door, he shoved me and to the ground and started choking me immediately.
And if I understand correctly, there were kind of two different, we can bifurcate the physical fight into two parts, because there was the initial contact and scuffle, a short breakaway, and then a resumption, correct?
Correct.
Okay. From the first portion, we'll call it fight part A, the first part before the break, your testimony is correct. As he comes in pushing you, he immediately goes for your neck and also starts choking you.
Correct.
Okay. You were able to, did you two fall to the ground as a result of that momentum, or were you standing when you were being choked?
I was standing.
Okay. How did you break away the first time? You did a move like that? Okay. How long were you being choked for?
It's hard to estimate when something like that is happening.
How long this total fight, the total physical altercation?
I don't know.
We'll break it down. Was it an hour-long fight?
I do not know, sir.
You have no way to say whether it was 5 seconds or 5 hours.
I know it wasn't 5 hours, but it was more than 5 seconds.
You said Sylvia then entered the room after the fight began. Did you ever tell anybody, or other than standing there while she was in the room, did she take any other physical action to either assist you or her father in the fight in any way?
She broke the door when I was trying to exit.
When were you trying to exit?
When I broke his first choke, I broke his choke and went to exit, and she stood in the doorway, and that's when he jumped on my back.
So you're saying she actually stood in the doorway, put her hands across, just to prevent you from leaving?
Correct.
Okay. Didn't Sylvia at some point say, let him go, to either you or her dad?
I believe she said that to her father.
Okay. So the woman who was preventing your escape, presumably because she wanted to see your ass beat, is now, your testimony is she's the one who said, let him go.
Yes.
Okay. Did she say anything else, perhaps as you were leaving?
Don't leave.
Okay, now, and then she said, don't leave?
When I was running out of the house, I heard her say, don't leave.
So you think she just had a change of heart midway through your fight with her
I
dad?
have no idea.
I'll object, false speculation.
Sustained.
Okay, you testified that when, during the altercation, how'd you get that gash on your head again?
Craig hitting my head against the weight plate.
Okay, when you say Craig hitting your head against the weight plate, describe that for us, please.
When he was choking me from behind, I fell down and he hit my head against the weight plate.
Okay, and that's where you got the cut on your forehead?
Yes.
Okay. Did he do it more than once?
I do not recall there was more than one mark on my head, so it is possible.
Okay, well, do you recall testifying to this point here? Deposition, page 34. Mr. Malangoni, do you recall when you asked this question and then given this answer in your deposition? Oh, I'm sorry, I just lost my line. Okay. Okay, you're still in your bedroom at this point? Answer, yes. Question, what happens next? Answer, his weight carried me to my knees, and then he started banging my head against the weight plate that was on the ground there, continuously, and split my head open. You remember saying that?
That sounds about right.
That's your testimony? That's your testimony here today?
Yes.
Okay. So he's continually banging your head against this weight plate.
Correct.
Mr. Malangoni, is this the first time you would ask the judge to award you money for what happened?
Yes.
Approach, Your Honor? Yes. We mark this as Defendant's Exhibit C. David's the appeal. Now I'm going to ask you, I'm going to show you what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit C and ask if you recognize this document.
I don't remember it exactly, but sure.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Okay, this is a document that you prepared and filed with the court, yes?
Sure.
Yes? Okay. On page 4, on the request for the following additional relief, did you read what you wrote?
Paid for my anguish and medical bills.
This document is a file stamp date of July 21st, 2010. Did you agree from the top?
This was at the restraining order?
Protective order.
Protective order.
Your Honor, move for admission of Defendant C.
Judge, we object does not be published and contain confidential data under Administrative Rule 9. I don't believe protective order filed in open court is evidence.
You know, for the Administrative 9 concerns, Judge, that's fine. He's testified. I'll withdraw this as admission of an exhibit. Dave, I think you're right. So, in fact, years earlier, you have asked another judge for money as a result of this, correct?
I guess I'm mistaken, yes.
Now, among in fact, I'm sorry, I'm going to revisit this document one other time. Did you ever tell Officer Buck that you were ambushed by Mr. Jackson with Sylvia's help?
I believe so. I don't. And actually, more than that, I told him that he ambushed me, not her.
Right. I'm going to refer you again to Defendant's Exhibit C on page 8, incident number 2. Could you read this statement that you wrote to the court?
I was ambushed by Stephen Jackson with help from Sylvia Smith.
So in one court proceeding, you tell one judge that Sylvia Smith helped. Then when we come here for this proceeding, you're not even sure if you told Officer Buck whether or not she was there, that she would have
It was
participated.
5 years ago. I don't remember exactly what I told him.
Well, you know what you told the judge here, right? In that exhibit we just looked at. You know what you said there.
I was standing in the she blocked the doorway and had a note for him to come down.
And yet you didn't see fit to name Miss Sylvia Smith in this case.
I was told that I wouldn't be able to. That there was no theory of conspiracy to go after her.
That's what you were told?
I believe so.
Mr. Malangoni, among your claim for damages is going to be the medical bills which you submitted, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you didn't even want to go to the hospital via ambulance on the day of the incident. You felt that the police insisted that you go, correct?
I could not afford it. I didn't have insurance.
So they insisted that you go, and you
They,
didn't?
they made me go, yes. They said I needed medical attention.
Okay. And this was the concern over the cut on your head, correct?
And my neck.
You went to the police station after the incident on your own power, and we had to drive you there, correct?
Correct.
You gave your statement.
Correct.
They looked at you and they said, hey, take the ambulance. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Also on top of this, other than the attorney's fees, you're also making a claim for lost wages, right?
Correct.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you just testified that you missed 2 to 3 weeks of work.
No, I said about a week and a half to 2.
Okay, a week and a half to 2. Now, Mr. Malangoni, you've given several different answers to that question through the course of this litigation, haven't you?
I don't know.
Therefore, well, let me refresh your memory. You remember answering the written questions that were propounded to you, the interrogatories, that I sent to your attorney, reviewed them with you, that you answered, signed under oath, and sent back to me. Do you remember those interrogatories?
No, no.
You don't specifically remember, but you generally remember receiving them and going over them with Ms. York.
That's most of my signatures on there than I did.
Okay. The interrogatory number 9. May I approach that?
Yes.
So the question, as a result of said bodily injuries, were you unable to work? If so, state. And you answered, I lost 1 week of work immediately following the incident, correct?
Okay.
So now it's 1 week. When you answered these interrogatories, yet during your deposition, page 52, we had a discussion about this. And first you said your answer was, I do not remember. I missed sufficient, at least 2 to 3 weeks worth of work. Question now, I'm sorry, for full context. Which days did you miss work? Answer, I do not recall all of them. I missed at least 3 days after the incident. And I missed days here and there due to court appearances. Do you remember being asked that question and giving that answer?
Yes.
Okay. So these other portions outside of 3 days are when you're going to court for these protective orders. And we clarified that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it goes from 3 days to 1 week to now, week and a half.
No, I missed a week of work. The 3 days, that might have been because it happened on, I believe I missed a week of work.
Okay, well, did you work 7 days a week?
Yes, or 5 days a week.
Okay, so over a period of, maybe you missed only 3 days as you testified to under oath of your deposition, right?
I might have been mistaken. My memory isn't exact from 5 years ago.
Well, you were asked 3 different times under oath. Here today, under oath when you answered the interrogatories, and under oath when I was in the room with you and your attorney when I asked you the same question. We had answers of a week and a half, 5 days, and 3 days.
3 days to a week and a half.
It's been asked, it's been
I'll
answered.
move on. I'll move on, Judge. There's no more. If I may have 1 moment. Justin, how much did you make an hour working for, what was it, Blythe's at the time?
20.
20 an hour?
Yes.
Work 8-hour days or 5-hour days? Part-time?
8.
Okay. one more question, Mr. Malangoni. The discussion that you had, were you saying Mr. Jackson threatened you when we were having a discussion about the refinancing of the home? You recall, well, when was that conversation that you had with him? Do you remember?
It was stated in the email.
No, about the refinancing.
Yeah, the date was on the email, the day we had
The May 25, 6 of 2010?
I don't recall the exact date.
That's the email that's in evidence, correct? So now there's a different email?
You gave it to me.
Oh,
That's what you gave.
okay, is it in? Yeah, okay. You don't remember the date of it?
The date of the conversation?
Yeah.
Not the exact date. No.
How close in time was it between, was it days, weeks, a couple months before this happened?
Do not recall exactly.
You have no idea whether it was 2 days or 2 months?
It wasn't 2 days, but I don't know if it was 2 months. That's speculating. I have no idea.
All right, but you know it was more than 2 days. That was not the impetus then. Mr. Jackson, after that conversation, didn't hop on a flight from L.A. and come and talk to you the next 2 days later, right?
No.
You came on the 20th.
Yes, you came on the 20th.
No further questions, sir.
Chairperson, witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Malangoni, do you recall this email exchange? You and Sylvia Smith?
Yes.
Was that about the time you had the conversation with Mr. Jackson about the refinancing?
Yes, it looks roughly about the same time.
Can you please tell the jury the date on those emails?
June 14th.
With respect to the motion for protective order, did you ask the court to issue restitution?
I wasn't able to.
No, my question is, did you ask the court to award restitution for the bills?
If I wrote it in there, then yes, I did.
And you did not receive restitution, did you?
No, the judge told me that I had to seek alternative legal action against Mr. Jackson. He suggested that I do.
Okay. Did you ever start a fight with Mr. Jackson on July 20, 2010?
No, I did not.
And did you and Sylvia have an understanding that the weight room and the bedroom was your section of the house?
Yes, that was my living area.
Did she have her area?
She had the rest of the house.
Okay. Nothing further.
Anything?
Nothing further.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, now's your opportunity to ask any questions of this witness that you desire.